All right, here we go with topic 3 in our Roman achievements, and that is Roman roads. So every culture that we've studied had some version of a road, even if all it was a worn path, because everyone traveled on the same route to get from one place to another. But Romans perfected the building of very permanent structures of roads, and some of the roads that they built are still in existence 2,000 years later. Um, so there's a very famous saying that says, all roads lead to Rome. And basically, all that means is Rome built a lot of roads to get to the various places in their empire. They wanted to travel quickly and efficiently. One of the videos we're going to watch says that the army could get anywhere in the Roman Empire in 10 days. I have a little hard time believing that, because if you take a look at this map, if you were to superimpose the United States over the top of it, it would cover this entire thing. And you can see Rome is here, right in the middle. And these roads are some of the main roads that were built so that they can get to the various places in the empire. And roads were built primarily for the army. Trade didn't suffer. Transportation didn't suffer, obviously, but there were over 75,000 miles of road built in this time in history. And really, they wanted their army to be able to get somewhere very quickly and effectively in case something happened with the groups of people that they were trying to control a great distance away.
Man has always moved along a road. It's just what that road has looked like that has changed over time.
The Romans were master road builders, and some of their routes are followed by the major routes in Europe today.
Before the Roman roads, going from, say, France to Italy, going through wooden trackways through forests and this sort of thing, it would be a terrifying journey.
To build an empire is to build a road system. The Romans built the first modern highway system. These roads allow the Romans, a small group of people, to control an entire continent.
The Romans made many different kinds of roads, but primarily it was to facilitate communication and the quick marching of their armies from place to place. They could march their legions anywhere within the empire in 10 days.
The Romans were able to not only move forces along the road system, but they were able to take goods and services that they were capturing and move them back into Rome.
Some of the roads were made of stone, some of them made with gravel. Some of the roads in Britain were even made with iron ore. And Roman roads were very practical, often as straight as possible. The Roman road network in Europe alone covers over 56,000 linear miles. It was so extensive and marked by milestones that you knew where you were at almost any given point, because the milestones told you how far it was to the next city.
Without the roads, there would have been no Roman Empire. Rome's most lasting legacy in Europe is its network of roads.
Okay, so here's kind of a cross-section of what the roads were made out of. At the very bottom, they had big stones, so they would dig that trench. You saw them hammering the wooden, little wooden pieces in. That's to like map out the edge of the road. And then they would cut away and put the big stones at the bottom. And then they would fill it in with small pebbles and things to kind of fill in the gaps. And then a layer of broken tiles or cement, and then finally the paving stones, the flat stones that fit together really nicely. They had a dome to their road, so the top was higher than the sides, and I want you to think about why. What would that serve? What purpose would that serve? I want you to think about that. And then when you are out walking or in a car driving somewhere in the next couple of days, if you have to go somewhere, I want you to just take a peek and see, do we have a kind of a curve to our road? What's purpose would that serve? They also had curbs on the side, and they had channels like kind of like ditches on the side where water could go, so that the water would run away from the road, so it wouldn't decay the road. Here's another picture that shows, so the drainage ditch you can see here on the side there, and showing the different levels, which is one of the reasons it's lasted so long. All right, this guy is going to show us one of the tools that they used for building roads and how it worked. Or he's not. There we go.
Roman surveyors used an instrument borrowed from the Greeks, the groma. A rotating arm supported a wooden cross. From its 4 tips hung 2 pairs of plumb bobs. The surveyor sighted across one pair to project a straight line. Assistants placed markers. Sighting across the other set out a right angle, which the Romans used to plan their cities. This was an inspired application of a basic principle, for while the tools may have changed, the concept of sighting along several points to create a straight line is still the basic idea behind modern surveying. The Romans built a vast network of roads. Many were very solid. Stretching from the farthest frontiers back to Rome, roads were the veins and arteries that fed the heart of the growing empire. A close look at a section of one of their most legendary construction techniques, and you appreciate the challenge. Roman engineers had to be both creative and skilled. When the Roman engineers built a road, they built it to last. This is the Via Appia, the oldest and most famous of all Roman roads. It runs from the heart of Rome itself all the way down the Italian peninsula, a distance of more than 400 miles. Road construction was based on a compact earth footing, with retaining walls and a ditch on each side. A small layer of stones in mortar was placed on top, followed by a layer of hard filling, probably gravel, and finally finished with a slab surface. Building as they advanced, the Roman legions forged the links that held the empire together.
All right, so here's an example of that surveying tool that the video mentioned, and looking across to, you can make right angles if you take the side, or, good golly, you guys, or just looking straight ahead. And I'm sure you have been driving along the highway sometime and you've seen a man, usually a man, looking through a structure, and then as you continue driving you see somebody with an orange flag or an orange vest down a ways, and that's what they're doing, is they're surveying to make a new road. The other part that was neat is this idea of mile markers. The little signs on the side of the road which told how far you were to the next city. And I know you have seen those before. The little green signs that just have a number on them, or it says MI, and then a number on them to tell you how far, usually to a border or a capital. So if you cross from Illinois into Beloit on 90, you're going to get, I think, mile 1 or something like that. So it's it starts over when you pass some major milestone or things like that. But so they're the ones that invented that, so you knew how much farther you had to go. So this shows an ancient road and then a modern road, which isn't in very good shape because we don't use the same technology to build. And here's the modern mile marker. So if you break down on the side of the road, you can tell the people, I'm at mile 328. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. So that they can come and get you. And here's a modern surveyor looking through his modern tool to do the same job that the Romans were doing. Okay, your turn. Same idea, folks. You can focus on the road itself. You can focus on the structure of the roads, how roads were built. Maybe you've got construction going on by your house. I know I just had a huge hole in the front yard of my, outside on my street yesterday. You can take pictures of that or find some pictures online, whichever you prefer, but let's add to your information about Roman achievements. All right, thank you, folks.